I heard it all before. Is that all you have in store? Is there really nothing more than just fallacies and faith?
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Theistic Pearls of Wisdom, a show where I look at the statements, posts and comments of theists in the various discussion groups that I'm hanging out in. So, without further ado, let's look at the first comment that I chose. Are you creature or creator? Asks Adnan. If creature, then who is your creator? Okay. Another ridiculous attempt to claim creation without evidence, in my opinion, and set up this ridiculous causal chain that forces you to arrive at a first cause being whatever, which basically is special pleading because they assume that an endless regress is not possible, so for some reason they create or assert this first cause being without any evidence. Existence is evidence for existence and not for the cause of existence. Causality needs to be demonstrated and not asserted, and it's only observed within the system. To apply it to the system itself is, without further evidence, is fallacious. It's called fallacy of composition as far as I remember. We are self-replicating biological beings, and our origins can be found in the process of abiogenesis. A process we do not fully understand and can, as of yet, not replicate, but that logically must have happened because the universe and this planet at some point were lifeless. And all abiogenesis states is life from lifelessness. We are going from chemistry to biochemistry, from simple molecules to self-replicating molecules to, in the end, a self-replicating cell, and from there we are off with evolution. So no creator needed, no appeal to magic. So I don't know what else to answer here. And another tactic that we find in connection with this is most often an appeal to incredibly high numbers. So claiming that it's so highly unlikely that humans will have developed from these simple beginnings. But first of all, that's wrong because we are here, so the probability is 1. We have evidence for our existence and we must have gotten here somewhere. Yes, if you now want to recreate that with the goal of humans, then it's highly unlikely that you get there through the process of evolution. Again, you will most likely end up somewhere completely different. But that's why evolution has no goal. That's why there is no aim that evolution wants to reach. It's just happening, and the outcome is as if you are throwing dice. The outcome will be somewhere within 1 to 6, but you cannot predict which outcome it will be. And the more dice you add to that, the less probable it is that you will roll all the dice with one number. But if you don't say, okay, I want to achieve this certain number, then it does not really matter. The dice will fall. That's it. Do atheists believe in devil's advocate? I don't even know what this guy really means. It's just a stupid statement because devil's advocate is a figure of speech that somebody takes a position that they not really hold and pretends to defend it against criticism. It's just ridiculous, not really worth discussing any further. Why Bible is not God's word? Anyone gives proofs, asks Puppy or Puppy. We know humans write books. That's basically the answer. We have no evidence for a God, so we have no reason to assume that a God had any hand in creating any book, not the Bible, not the Quran, not the Vedas, nothing. It's just humans writing down what they believe. Basically, it's the same as you writing comments on Facebook, nothing else. And then other people have collected those writings and edited them into a book and claimed, okay, this was at least inspired, if not written by God. Sorry, not convincing. And therefore, we are moving to the next comment. Here's my starting question. Besides the Council of Nicaea existence, what keeps you from believing in the resurrection of Christ? I have no idea what she even means there with besides the Council of Nicaea existing or existence. The Council of Nicaea happened, and as far as I remember, I have not checked it out. That's the council where basically the Bible canon has been fixed, and after that we have a certain number of books and that are official, and the others that they have not accepted are apocryphal, and so on and so forth. I have no idea how that in any way connects to the claim of Jesus' historicity or anything, and especially not to the resurrection. The reason not to believe in the resurrection is quite simply we have no evidence that ever a human came back from the dead. And just because people claimed it and wrote it down and said that they have seen the risen Lord or something like that is not evidence. I'm sorry. I would not know what really is evidence for a resurrection. Sorry. If I now would have seen a dead body and see myself that they have come back to life or something like that, even that is, I could be tricked, I could be deceived, I could deceive myself or whatever. It's just, sorry, not sufficient to accept something that simply is biologically and physiologically and by the laws of physics impossible. I'm sorry, it's impossible. As long as it's not shown to actually have happened. So, and there are other claims about people resurrecting that even Christians would not accept. So, what are we even talking about? If we are talking about historicity, I have several times now said that I'm agnostic in that respect. I don't think the evidence provided for the historicity of Jesus is sufficient to come to that conclusion. Neither can I say I am 100% certain that Jesus did not exist. There could have been an itinerant preacher or several that later have been composited into the biblical hero that is presented to us as the Messiah and so on and so forth. It's just not of interest really, and even if we could prove that Jesus did not exist, somehow the Christians would still make it work with their beliefs. Like, even the mythicist position, if we look at Carrier, yes, if we assume that Jesus was a mythological figure, then still Christianity would work. So, completely uninteresting. My brethren, atheistic friends, why do you think Jesus was a hoax? Objective facts only, no opinions or foul language. No idea what he's really asking for when he's talking about objective facts, because history, quite simply, is not objective facts. It's always only what most likely has happened, not, yeah, this most definitely has happened. The closer we come to nowadays, the closer we can get to certainty, but we will never be 100% certain about anything that we did not experience ourselves. And even that, under solipsism, can be wrong. Why I think Jesus was a hoax? No, I don't think Jesus was a hoax. I think that people seriously believed in the things they said they believed in, and that, like, for example, Paul had an experience that threw him off his horse, and that afterwards he interpreted as meeting the risen Jesus, and so on and so forth. It's not a hoax. It's people who either are deceiving themselves or have been deceived or wanted to believe and heard stories and accepted that. It's not a hoax. Sorry. It's just people believing things with no good reason. Is DNA proof for God? Okay, I'm not a biologist. Let's make that clear. But DNA is often referred to as some kind of code. But this code is naturally arising. It's not like somebody has said, okay, I'm now programming something and I'm using this and that letter for this and that. The letters are actually put on there based on the acid that is used by humans to make things understand. We refer to things in a framework that we do understand, which is why sometimes DNA is referred to as a code or even computer code. That does not mean that it's created or that there is a mind behind it. It arises naturally through chemical reaction, and it changes through adaptation, through mutation and other things. So there is no reason to assume that DNA is proof for anything but proof for DNA and for evolution. Definitely not for a God. All holy books, Quran, Bible, Torah, says every soul shall taste death. Okay, it says that, and that's just basically an observation. But he continues, do atheists die? Yes, we do. Hello, atheists. You guys die too, right? Can you stop dying? Yeah. No, we obviously can't. We are biological beings, so we die. Our lifetime is limited. That's just the way it is. At some point, our bodies will fail to work and we die. And basically, as I already said, what is said in your holy books is nothing but translating the observation into a statement that is so clear and obvious that it is not even worth discussing. How and why would you assume that atheists would be able to cheat death or whatever? It does not make sense. But that's why we are discussing the pearls of wisdom from believers. If religious people stop imposing their beliefs on others, would atheists stop attacking them? Just curious. First of all, I hope that most of us do not attack people. That's just a given. Attacking the ideas? Yes, I think many would stop attacking the ideas if the whole thing that people are basing their laws and so on, or claiming that their laws are based on religious positions, if that would stop, we would most likely, many of us would stop attacking these positions. I most likely would not, because I care about the truth of a claim and hope at some point that unjustified religious beliefs simply go away. So I would still challenge people to justify their beliefs and ask them why they believe what they believe. So yeah, no, I would not stop attacking religious beliefs. I am an anti-theist. That means I want religion to go away. Why don't atheists mind their own business and rather keep trolling believers all the time? And somebody like that joins a discussion group between atheists and theists. Obviously, I'm not going door to door and preaching about atheism. I'm not talking to everybody that I meet about my atheism. I'm not preaching, I'm not accosting anyone who does not somehow interact with me, and I have a reason to bring that up. Sorry, one colleague of mine has to listen to me sometimes when I'm listening to the Atheist Experience or something like that, ranting about the stupidness of some caller or whatever. Sorry, that happens, but that's not really how I go about things normally. And he always would have the possibility to simply say, I don't want to hear it, leave me alone. So, yeah. I have no idea what this person is talking about. He's in a discussion group, so that's where we are discussing these things. And if that is harassment in his book, then I don't know why he ever joined such a group. How do atheists decide what's good and what's bad? What to do and what not to do in means of right and wrong? They don't have a book to follow, so everything is right for them, I guess. Wow, there are so many failed assumptions in this. How do atheists decide? I think everybody builds their own moral framework. Most of us build them by looking at what the possible consequences of our actions are. I hope, at least. So, if an action is actually hurting a person, a group, or society, then it's negative. I don't like to use bad or good or evil and good. That's just, I think actions have negative consequences or positive consequences, or they are simply neutral and have no consequence in that respect that it would need a moral judgment. So, the point is, we look at the consequences of our actions and ask us, when I do this, or going with a little wider net, if everybody on this earth would do the same thing that I'm about to do, would the consequence be a better earth or a worse off earth? So that's basically it. What follows in Vakar's question is that he believes morality has to come from some authority, which is basically, you have to ask, why would this authority be able to tell us what is moral and what is not? How does this authority decide? We have to look at the Euthyphro dilemma. Is something moral because God commands that it's moral, or is it moral because it simply is inherently moral? And that does not help us at all. We have to somehow decide if this authority itself is moral. And if we can do that, then we can apply the same idea, the same method to any question, any moral question that we have to decide. So we have the tools to decide what is moral and what is not. And hence there is no authority necessary. To do the right thing despite inconvenience and so on and so forth, that is moral. To follow an authority is not moral. You are giving up your own moral agency. I hope you enjoyed this again. And if you did, then press the like button, subscribe, share it, and let me know what you think. Until the next time, bye bye.
I heard it all before. Is that all you have in store? Is there really nothing more than just fallacies and faith?